How's everyone's day been? Good? Okay, I'm so excited to be here. So let's get started. The point of testing the waters is to learn something new about yourself. My name is Jana Novakovic, and for those of you that don't know, I'm a water polo player. But first, a little background information. I was born and raised in America as an American, but my parents are originally from a small country in Eastern Europe called Serbia. Every year since I was born, we would go back and visit over summer to see friends and family. However, Serbia is also home to one of the best water polo teams in the world. So this summer, to change up our yearly trip, I decided I would go back to Serbia to play water polo. And being a 14-year-old girl, this was scary because I extended my trip for a month longer than my parents and stayed with my grandparents, and then at the end of the summer, I would return to America all by myself. My grandparents, they live in the center of the capital city, Belgrade, and this was very convenient for me because it was located in between the two pools I practiced at. Every day, I would have a morning and an evening practice, so I'd wake up early and walk or catch a bus to take me to the pool. On my way there, I would stop at the local bakery and buy breakfast, which I would enjoy as I walked by churches, past parks, through the city and near the cafes on the pebblestone streets. Belgrade has quite the variety. And yes, it was hard waking up in the morning and going to play water polo, but in a city with a population of 1.5 million people, you were not alone and the morning buzz really woke you up. One of the obvious differences to my beloved Irvine is Belgrade's city life. Every night we would be kept up till late with concerts and fireworks that would keep us up. You know how here we occasionally hear the Disneyland fireworks in the distance? Well, listen to this. Every night I could go out on my grandparents' porch and see the fireworks over the skyline and river. It was quite the beautiful sight. Another difference is the use of public transportation and walking. At a young age, kids are taught that if they're going to go anywhere, they're going to do it by themselves and they're going to take a bus. Also, there is a high population of Roma or gypsies, which are homeless people that you just see on your regular commute. But regardless of all the beautiful sights and the beautiful people you see, the city is quite dangerous, and I've known this since a young age. But for the first time, I was going everywhere by myself. I no longer had my parents by my side or my grandparents holding my hand. Even for the first time, my sister wasn't there. So I had to learn a whole new lifestyle. I learned to take the bus everywhere, I learned to clench my purse when walking through crowded areas, and I learned to use the new currency. But I also had to adopt a whole new sense of alertness. I had to be much more careful when walking through a somewhat empty street or coming home late from practice at night, or being stuck next to a smelly drunk in the bus. And my mother always told me when walking through the city not to talk to strangers too much so they don't hear my strange accent. And this is because being American came with a price. First is the association that you're wealthy and that you're free-spirited, which being a 14-year-old girl is an easy target. But then there is bitterness that follows when they remember it was the Americans that bombed them in 1999. And now, almost 20 years later, one can easily spot the damage. However, my mom has always been a little too cautious because the friends I made at water polo that year were interested in my life. Every day, they would ask me many questions, and I would answer to the best of my ability. But at the end of it all, they would overlook all the stereotypes they've heard and treat me as a new teammate and as a new player. The friends I made at water polo that year were the reason, just the highlight of my trip. I got to learn about the Serbian teenager's life in a way visiting Serbia as a young kid could never show me. And they learned about the American teenager's life in a way Disney Channel TV shows could never show them. I became fluent in the Serbian language in a way that speaking with old school grandparents could never teach me, and I learned street smart in a way the perfect cut grass of Orange County could not expose me to. This summer, when I was testing the waters, away from all the pools I've swam at all my life, I learned some pretty valuable things. I learned that I could live away from home, I can adapt to new situations, and I learned that I can most importantly take care of myself. However, my presence there also pushed the Serbian kids to test waters, but in their own pools. They got to experience and learn about the real American teenagers' life and values. So now I have some pictures to illustrate what my trip looked like. So this is where Serbia is, located relatively on a map of Europe. During the day, this is what the city looks like on the river, and as you can see, there's many churches and buildings, and my grandparents live right there. This is the skyline, like from the air, obviously, and there's two rivers flowing through the city, so it's always a beautiful sight. And then this is what Belgrade looks like at night. And my grandparents' house is right there, so the fireworks are always a beautiful sight. Then this is one of the pools I practiced at. It sits right at the river, the intersection of the two rivers, which are Danube and Sava. And then that's the indoor pool that I got to practice at. And then these are my teammates. I got to go and play with a club over there, so that's my coach and my teammates. And then this is what walking through the city looks like during the day. And then, so here's an example of a church I would see on my way to the pool. And of course, it's a city, so there's some parts that aren't as pretty. So on my way to the pool, I'd have to go through this tunnel, but a lot of the water polo kids walk that way, so it's pretty safe. And then public transportation. This is what the traffic looks like in Serbia. And then, of course, the bombings are still in the center of the city, so that's something you would just see when walking around. And then Belgrade attracts many artists, so people can come to the streets and sing and dance and, make some extra change. And then it's also, as I said, a place for artists, so there's much graffiti around. That's just some examples. And then, Serbians love coffee, so there's many cafes everywhere. There's cafes on the rivers, cafes on rooftops, there's cafes in the old forts, and just in the middle of streets, and in private buildings. And then, sports are a big thing over there, so having one of the best water polo teams, the city likes to welcome them home after their big wins and stuff like that, so there's a lot of spirit with that. And this is when they welcomed home the water polo team after their win in the Olympics. And so I went to like a co-ed camp too, so this was the team I played with over there. And then that was my coach. I got to train with an Olympic water polo player, Nikola Rajin. But at the end of the day, I couldn't wait to get back home and train with my water polo team here at Woodbridge High School. Thank you, everyone.